Japan holds secrets that make archaeologists nervous. Underwater cities that predate known civilization, stone circles older than Stonehenge, artifacts that shouldn't exist in their time periods, ancient texts describing technologies we can't replicate. When you dig into Japan's past, the timeline breaks. Carbon dates don't match. Tool sophistication jumps centuries ahead. Geological layers tell impossible stories. 5 mysteries from Japan's ancient past that science still can't explain. If you value documented ancient history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Journal of Archaeological Science and the National Museum of Japanese History. Now, back to the story. Number 1. Yonaguni Monument, 12,000 years ago, 60 feet underwater off Okinawa's coast. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura measures the structure. 300 feet long, 130 feet wide, 90 feet tall. Straight edges, right angles, terraced platforms. Stepped pyramids, tool marks in sandstone that show deliberate cutting. The problem? This monument sits below sea level that hasn't existed for 12,000 years. Before agriculture, before writing, before complex societies were supposed to exist anywhere on Earth. Kimura documents 25 separate structures across the seafloor. Perfect 90-degree corners, drainage channels, road systems connecting the sites, quarry marks where blocks were extracted. The Japanese government sends dive teams. They map staircases carved into living rock. Ceremonial platforms with precise geometric patterns. Stone heads weighing 15 tons positioned at cardinal points. Underwater photography reveals details that shouldn't exist. Circular holes drilled into bedrock with mathematical precision, each exactly 37 centimeters in diameter and 42 centimeters deep. The spacing between holes follows the Fibonacci sequence. Tool marks in the stone show grooves consistent with diamond-tipped cutting implements. Bronze Age civilizations didn't possess such technology. Temperature measurements inside the monument's chambers remained constant at 14 degrees Celsius year-round, despite ocean currents and seasonal variations. Acoustic testing reveals the structures amplify sound at specific frequencies: 28 Hz, 42 Hz, 63 Hz. These frequencies match those used in modern meditation and healing practices. Marine biologists studying the site document unusual behaviors: fish swimming in perfect geometric patterns around the monument, dolphins and whales showing increased activity in the area during specific lunar phases, coral growth following architectural lines rather than natural formations, as if the structure influences marine life in ways we don't understand. Carbon dating of coral growth over the structures confirms the timeline. 12,000 years minimum since submersion. That's 6,000 years before Göbekli Tepe. 4,000 before the first Egyptian pyramids. The builders had to work when this area was dry land, before the ice caps melted and ocean levels rose 300 feet. Who were they? What tools did they use? How did they move blocks weighing multiple tons without metal, without wheels, without known engineering techniques? Geological surveys of the surrounding seafloor locate additional structures extending over 20 square kilometers, rectangular platforms connected by raised walkways, circular amphitheater-like formations with perfect acoustics, a complex harbor system with breakwaters and docking facilities designed for vessels larger than anything from the period. Robert Schoch from Boston University examines the site. Natural erosion, he argues. Wind and water carved these shapes. But Kimura counters with evidence: right-angle joints that don't occur naturally, tool marks following human patterns, quarried blocks arranged in architectural sequences. The Japanese Archaeological Association remains silent. No official position, no funding for extended study. Recent magnetometer readings detect metallic objects buried within the monument's foundation. Refined metals arranged in geometric patterns throughout the structure. Copper alloys containing trace elements not found in local ore deposits. Iron objects showing signs of advanced smelting techniques that wouldn't be developed in the region for another 8,000 years. 8,000 years of ocean growth should have obscured any artificial structure. Yet the monument's edges remain sharp, its corners precise. As if the builders knew something about preservation, we don't. Number 2, kofun burial mounds, 3rd to 6th centuries, scattered across Honshu like a massive blueprint only visible from above. The largest, Daisen Kofun in Osaka, measures 1,500 feet long. Shaped like a perfect keyhole when viewed from the sky. 48 feet high, surrounded by 3 concentric moats. The mathematics are impossible for the period. Emperor Nintoku supposedly lies beneath the central mound, but the Imperial Household Agency forbids excavation. No archaeologist has entered the main chamber in over 1,500 years. What they've seen from the perimeter breaks the historical timeline. Bronze mirrors from Han Dynasty China mixed with Roman glass, silk from Central Asia. goldwork using techniques that wouldn't reach Japan for another 3 centuries. Ground-penetrating radar reveals internal structures that defy explanation. Chambers lined with sheets of mica, a mineral that doesn't occur naturally in the Osaka region. The mica sheets measure exactly 4 meters by 2 meters, cut with precision that requires modern tools. Laboratory analysis shows the mica contains trace amounts of lithium and beryllium, elements used in advanced electronics. Surveying teams map over 160,000 kofun across Japan, all aligned to specific astronomical coordinates. Computer analysis reveals the larger ones correspond to major stars in Orion, Draco, and Cygnus constellations, as they appeared 1,500 years ago. The builders possessed advanced astronomical knowledge and surveying tools that shouldn't have existed. Seismic studies of the Dyson kofun detect hollow spaces arranged in a 3-dimensional geometric pattern. The chambers form a double helix structure extending 120 feet into the Earth. This spiral pattern matches the structure of DNA, a molecule not discovered until 1895. How did 6th century builders know this configuration? Electromagnetic surveys reveal the mounds generate weak electrical fields. The fields pulse at regular intervals, every 11 seconds, lasting for 3 seconds. The pattern remains constant across all major kofun sites, as if they're part of a connected network. Modern electronics malfunction within 50 meters of the largest mounds. Compass needles spin randomly. Radio signals become distorted. Ground-penetrating radar shows chambers inside the sealed mounds containing metallic objects. Geometric shapes that don't match any known Japanese burial goods. Some chambers appear to contain liquid mercury, a preservation technique not used in Japan until the 8th century, 200 years later. The soil around several kofun tests positive for rare earth elements, neodymium, europium, terbium, elements that don't occur naturally in Japanese geology. Excavated smaller kofun reveal construction techniques that mystify engineers, multi-ton stone slabs fitted without mortar, gaps measuring less than 1 millimeter. Interior temperatures that remain constant year-round despite no climate control systems, acoustic properties that amplify whispers at specific frequencies while dampening other sounds. Infrared satellite imagery shows the kofun emit heat signatures different from surrounding terrain. The heat patterns form geometric shapes, triangles, spirals, mathematical sequences. The patterns change seasonally, following celestial alignments that match ancient astronomical calendars from Mesopotamia and Egypt, knowledge that shouldn't have reached Japan until the 8th century. Soil samples from kofun construction sites contain microscopic glass spherules, tiny beads of silica formed only under extreme heat conditions. The spherules show signs of rapid cooling, suggesting temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius. No known construction technique from the period could generate such heat. The keyhole shape itself presents problems. Why build tombs that can only be appreciated from altitudes the builders couldn't reach? Satellite imagery reveals the mounds form larger geometric patterns when viewed regionally. Triangles, stars, mathematical spirals, as if the entire archipelago was planned from above. Recent laser scanning of the Daisen kofun reveals surface details invisible to ground observation. Carved channels that direct rainwater into specific collection points. Stone markers positioned to align with sunrise and sunset on solstices and equinoxes. Mathematical ratios in the construction that match the golden ratio used in classical architecture. Cold, sealed, forbidden. Number 3. Dog figurines, 14,000 BCE to 400 BCE, 10,000 individual artifacts scattered across Japan. Clay sculptures of humanoid figures wearing what appear to be helmets, goggles, and protective suits. Large eyes behind circular lenses. Breathing apparatus over mouth and nose areas. Jointed limbs suggesting articulated clothing. Some figures appear to be wearing spacesuits. The oldest dog predate metalworking in Japan by 8,000 years, yet they depict figures wearing what looks like advanced protective gear. Helmets with antenna-like projections, chest plates with geometric patterns resembling circuit boards, boots with tread patterns, gloves with individual finger coverings, details that wouldn't make sense to cultures that hadn't developed metallurgy or complex textiles. Archaeological teams catalog specific design elements that repeat across centuries and regions, heart-shaped faces with triangular indentations for eyes, cord-marked patterns covering the bodysuits, strange symbols carved into chest and back areas. Some figurines show damage patterns, broken limbs, cracked torsos, as if they were deliberately destroyed in rituals. The most disturbing examples come from the Jomon period sites in northern Honshu. Figurines with hollow interiors containing smaller figurines. Nested dolls. 4,000 years before Russian matryoshkas. X-ray analysis reveals some contain metallic objects, copper spirals, iron fragments that shouldn't exist in pre-Metal Age Japan. Carbon dating confirms the surrounding organic material is authentic to the period. 3 figurines from Kamagaoka contain traces of mercury sulfide and lead oxide, materials used in advanced metallurgy. Spectrographic analysis identifies titanium and aluminum traces embedded in the clay. Elements that don't occur naturally in Japanese clay deposits and weren't isolated by humans until the 19th century. Museum curators note the figurines often appear in sites with unusual characteristics. Soil samples show radiation levels slightly above normal background. Magnetic anomalies that affect compass readings. Trees in the area growing in spiral patterns. Animals avoiding specific zones around the dig sites. The Jomon people left no written records explaining the dog's purpose. Archaeologists theorize they were religious objects, fertility symbols, or shamanic tools, but that doesn't explain the technological details. Why would Stone Age artists imagine breathing apparatus, jointed protective suits, and helmet-mounted equipment? What were they trying to represent? Latest finds from Hokkaido show evolution in the figurines. Earlier examples are cruder, more abstract. Later ones become increasingly detailed, as if the artists were perfecting their representation of something they observed. The final dog from the late Jomon period show figures with their helmets removed, revealing human faces underneath, as if whatever they were depicting had become familiar enough to show without protection. Number 4, Takeda Castle ruins, 15th century Akbar floating above clouds on Mount Tarao in Hyogo Prefecture. But ground-penetrating radar reveals structures beneath the visible castle that don't appear in any historical record. Stone foundations predating the known construction by 700 years, tunnel systems extending 2 miles underground, chambers carved directly into bedrock using unknown cutting techniques. The official history says Takeda Castle was built in 1443 by Yamana Sozan, a typical mountain fortress designed for defense against rival clans. But subsurface mapping shows the medieval castle sits on top of something much older and more sophisticated. Foundation stones, weighing 40 tons positioned with millimeter precision, underground water management systems that still function after 8 centuries, acoustic chambers that can transmit whispers clearly over half-mile distances through solid rock. Engineering teams studying the underground complex find tool marks that don't match period technology. Perfectly circular holes drilled through granite using techniques that would require diamond-tipped bits. Stone surfaces polished to mirror finish using methods unknown in medieval Japan. Joints between massive blocks fitted so precisely that paper won't slide between them. The tunnel network connects to similar systems at 4 other castle sites across western Japan, all built on elevated positions, all showing signs of much older underlying construction. Radio waves don't penetrate the tunnels normally. The rock contains high concentrations of magnetite that create electromagnetic shielding effects. Construction records from the 15th century mention strange discoveries during excavation. Workers found rooms already carved into the mountain containing stone furniture and metallic objects of unknown purpose. Several workers reportedly became ill after entering deeper chambers, showing symptoms consistent with radiation exposure. Construction supervisor's diary describes tools that became magnetized after use in certain areas. Modern archaeological surveys detect metallic masses buried at precise depths throughout the site. Metal detectors locate objects in geometric patterns, perfect circles, triangles, complex mathematical spirals extending throughout the mountain's interior. The objects appear to be made of refined metals, steel, bronze, and alloys that wouldn't be developed in Japan for another 2 centuries. Local legends speak of lights seen inside the mountain before castle construction began, sounds like machinery echoing from underground, animals refusing to graze in specific areas around the peak. Stories dismissed as folklore until recent geological surveys confirmed hollow spaces and metallic anomalies exactly where the legends placed them. The castle appears to have been built deliberately to conceal whatever lies beneath. Strategic placement of buildings blocks access to older entrances. Gardens designed to disguise tunnel openings, walls positioned to hide the true extent of the underground complex, as if the builders knew they were constructing a cover story, measured, hidden, waiting. Number 5, Osaka Bay Ancient Harbor, 3rd century CE, discovered during construction of Kansai International Airport in 1988. Archaeologists expected to find typical Yayoi period settlements. Instead, they uncovered evidence of maritime technology that shouldn't have existed for another 1,000 years. Advanced harbor engineering, sophisticated navigation systems, evidence of transoceanic voyaging capabilities. The harbor complex extends over 12 square miles of reclaimed land. Stone breakwaters designed to handle vessels much larger than any known from the period. Dock systems with adjustable heights for different tidal conditions. Warehouse foundations showing evidence of goods from Southeast Asia, India, and the Mediterranean. Roman coins, Chinese silk, Central Asian jade, African ivory, a trade network spanning continents when Japan was supposedly isolated. Carbon dating confirms the structures date to the mid-3rd century, but the engineering sophistication matches harbor systems from the 8th or 9th centuries. Hydraulic systems for moving heavy cargo, mechanical cranes using counterweight principles, dry dock facilities for ship construction and repair, stone cutting and placement techniques requiring advanced mathematical knowledge. Excavated ships from the site break every rule of Japanese maritime development. Vessels over 200 feet long with multiple masts and sophisticated sail systems. Hull designs optimized for deep ocean navigation. Evidence of magnetic compass used 300 years before compasses reached Japan through Chinese trade. Navigation instruments made from alloys that wouldn't be developed locally until the medieval period. The most disturbing discovery comes from the harbor's central building, a structure containing detailed star charts carved in stone showing constellation positions from multiple latitudes. Maps that accurately depict coastlines of Southeast Asia, India, and the Middle East. Mathematical calculations for ocean navigation using celestial positioning. Knowledge that implies direct observation from extensive sea voyaging. Soil analysis from the harbor reveals trace elements from around the Pacific Rim. Microscopic organisms from tropical waters. Pollen from plants that don't grow anywhere near Japan. Wood samples from trees native to Central America and Polynesia. Physical evidence of contact with civilizations across vast ocean distances. Ship construction techniques found at the site don't match Japanese traditions, joining methods that appear in Mediterranean and Indian Ocean vessels. Tool marks from implements not found in Japanese archaeological contexts. Hull designs optimized for different ocean conditions than those around Japan, as if the builders learned their techniques elsewhere and brought them home. Harbor records inscribed on bronze tablets describe trade expeditions to lands that won't be officially discovered by Japanese explorers for another 1,200 years. Detailed accounts of island chains, coastal kingdoms, and trading partnerships across the Pacific. Names of foreign rulers and exchange rates for exotic goods, administrative systems for managing international commerce. The harbor was deliberately abandoned around 350 CE, all buildings systematically dismantled, ships scuttled in deep water. Bronze tablets buried in sealed chambers, as if the entire operation was ordered to disappear from history. The site was covered with soil and allowed to return to wetland until modern construction uncovered it. Recent underwater surveys locate additional harbor structures extending into Osaka Bay. Breakwaters and dock systems now 60 feet underwater. Stone anchors weighing multiple tons positioned along shipping channels. Evidence the original complex was much larger than the excavated portion suggests. Advanced, international, erased. The pattern emerges when you map all 5 mysteries across Japan's timeline. Each represents technology or knowledge appearing centuries before it should exist according to accepted history. Each site shows evidence of deliberate concealment or abandonment. Each discovery forces archaeologists to question fundamental assumptions about Japan's ancient past. Ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted across Japan in 2019 reveal similar anomalies at over 300 locations. Underground structures, metallic masses, geometric patterns carved into bedrock, a network of ancient sites connected by purpose we don't understand. The Japanese government classifies much of this research. Archaeological permits become difficult to obtain. International teams find their visas delayed or denied. Academic papers describing the anomalies are published in obscure journals with limited circulation. As if someone prefers these mysteries remain unsolved. Carbon dating from the deepest Yonaguni structures now suggests human activity going back 15,000 years. Trace isotope analysis from kofun sites indicates metallurgical processes beyond period capabilities. Chemical signatures from dog figurines point to technologies that shouldn't exist in any ancient context. The evidence keeps accumulating. The silence keeps growing. In 2023, construction workers expanding Tokyo's subway system broke through into a chamber system that extends beneath the entire metropolitan area. Stone corridors carved with mathematical precision, ventilation systems that still circulate air after unknown centuries, wall inscriptions in a script that doesn't match any known Japanese writing system. The chamber system connects to natural cave networks that extend throughout Honshu. Recent exploration teams using ground-penetrating radar trace the tunnels across hundreds of miles, all following geometric patterns, all showing evidence of artificial modification, all leading towards sites where other mysteries have been discovered. Japan's ancient past isn't what we thought it was. The technology was more advanced, the connections more extensive, the knowledge more sophisticated. Each mystery reveals pieces of a larger puzzle that threatens to rewrite everything we know about human civilization in East Asia. The deepest chamber beneath Tokyo contains a stone table with inscriptions describing the locations of all the other sites. A master map carved in granite showing the complete network. The final entry, translated from the unknown script, reads simply, "When the waters rise again, remember the old roads home. The waters are rising, the old roads are calling, the mysteries remain unsolved.